Today, I'm going to be in conversation with student Natalie Manrique. So we're going to do a student perspective today of a virtual exchange. So Natalie, tell us who you are. Introduce yourself to us first.
Okay, so I'm Natalie Manrique. I'm a student at the University of Florida, graduating pretty soon, and I took part in the exchange with Luis and Edgar with Cali, Colombia.
Fantastic, Natalie. So I'm so glad I spoke to Lewis and Edgar a couple of weeks ago. So we've got that over on the blog and on our YouTube channel. And they really kindly gave me your contact and you've agreed to speak to us to get the student perspective. Which virtual exchange, because they talked about they had the interior design. So they did the restaurant, they did a hotel lobby. And which one did you take part in?
So I actually took part in the restaurant in Cali, and so they designed one in Gainesville, Florida.
So, what inspired you to sign up to do a virtual exchange like this? Why did you do that?
Honestly, the opportunity to collab with people who aren't from where we are, even though it was a little bit different for me because I actually am from Colombia, um, getting the chance to speak to people who have been taught by different professors, different curriculum, is something that we're going to have to come across in the workforce. So, getting that exposure now was the big deciding factor.
Oh, I see. Okay. And what do you remember about the virtual exchange? I will ask you because you had the added bonus that you actually got to go to Colombia.
Mhm.
So I'll ask you about that in a moment. But what do you remember about the virtual exchange experience before you had the opportunity to travel?
I remember that we were able to, we kind of did like research about Cali, Colombia, and they did research about Gainesville, and being able to talk to the students. And they had a lot of like questions about, what do we like? Because there's only so much that you can get from Google.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
so what do you guys like to do in Gainesville? And what do you guys like to do in Cali? And what do your families do? Just getting that user context past just Google and actually talking to the users.
Fantastic, fantastic. And so, what are some of the high points that you remember about those exchanges?
I think the high points were first seeing what they actually came up with, seeing things that, it's our everyday life. So we don't think too much about it in a research perspective. So I think that was definitely a high point. And also getting to see some of like the projects that they had done. Uh, like we typically don't design it for Gainesville, Florida. So that was really interesting. And just seeing the students in my class collaborate with Colombian
Mhm.
students. It was like the best of both worlds for me because that's where I'm from.
Now, I understand you told me in our little chat before that you actually got to go to Colombia, which I guess was an added bonus. So, did the virtual exchange, the online experience, kind of prepare you for going and doing an actual physical mobility?
Oh, 100% because I knew what to expect. I knew some of the students that we had talked to in their class. So I traveled to Cali because that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'm already here. I might as well meet the people who I actually collaborated with because it's one thing to talk over Zoom or talk over text, but it's another to actually be in person. And it definitely helps that Spanish is my first language. So I got to go and talk to them and show them more in depth what I had come up with for Cali, my restaurant. So I was more than prepared for that.
So, was the fact that you went, was that an independent thing or was it integral to the virtual exchange? Did that actually happen, or was it just you who managed to go?
It was just me, just because I was visiting family and I had talked to Luis and actually my cousin who was part of the class there also was able to come when she came to visit me. I drove her up to Gainesville and she was able to meet Luis and I was able to meet Edgar in Colombia.
So fantastic because it sounds to me like you got so much out of the actual online virtual exchange,
Mhm.
beginning to build relationships, and you took that outside of your online meetings and you actually made a physical mobility happen. So, What would you say about those relationships that you built online? Were you able
I
to
think,
expand on that?
yeah, if it wasn't for this exchange, I would have never thought to do that. I would have never gone to the university, visited the class, met the people. And these are relationships. I still talk to a few of them. And that was a few years ago now.
Oh, that's
So
fantastic.
building those relationships through programs like this is like invaluable. Um, I definitely like will hold on to that memory and building relationships in general with people. Like you never know who you're gonna come across. Um,
Yeah.
the world is small, smaller than you think, especially the design world. So I'm
Well,
very grateful.
well, also you're going to have to probably work globally, so the
Exactly.
intellectual aspects and learning how to communicate across borders and across cultures, I guess for young people today, that's what you're going to have to deal with anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, and that experience is kind of what's inspired me to study abroad the following year. So again, just I was like, I want to meet more people from different cultures.
And where are
Uh,
you going to do this?
I went last summer. I studied abroad in Germany with the program again. Yeah.
Fantastic. So you came to Europe and
Yes.
you broadened your horizons.
Yes, I did, and I loved it.
What did you love about, was it your first time in Germany?
Yes, yes, it was. It's
And
very different, and I love it because I realized that everybody in every single country lives differently, and everybody is correct. Everybody is right in the way that they're living. Um, it's it's something that you don't learn unless you go and you connect with other people. So taking what I learned from that the exchange with Luis and with Edgar and applying it to even more people in more countries. I continued to travel and we did some research on light. So we collaborated with people from Egypt, um, like everywhere, literally so many
fantastic.
countries.
So, what are your main takeaways from this experience? You mentioned that everybody lives differently and it's all, really, really enriching, I guess, is what I'm hearing from you. What else do you take away from this experience? How has it changed? What did you learn about yourself?
I learned that I like to learn, like I like to be a sponge of culture, of ideas, of and like what I have in my head is great, but learning from other people and not just like textbooks is is amazing. Like there's only so much you can learn from reading, um, but actually applying it and learning from others was the really big takeaway.
So you've already traveled to Germany for study. So
Mhm,
this experience together with your virtual exchange experience,
mhm.
how has that shaped how the decisions that you're going to make about your future? Do you think it's had an impact on what you're going to do next?
Oh, absolutely. I graduate May 4th, which is coming up, and I have booked a trip to go back to Europe because I want to continue to meet people and make relationships and make connections. So it absolutely has shaped that. And when I was picking the place that I was going to work full time, something that was really important to me was diversity. I didn't want to work in an office where everybody looked the same and had the same ideas. So I made it a point to visit the offices that I was interviewing at and ask those questions. Do you guys collaborate with other people, other offices? So I think that's how it's shaped because where you work, that's where you're going to grow for a few years. So
It's really inspiring what you're saying. You sound very inspired. So before I
yeah.
let you go, have you got any other words of wisdom for your peers or other students thinking about doing something like this and having doubts and whatever? What would you say?
Just say yes. Say yes because you're going to graduate and once when you get these opportunities, um, it's important to just say yes and there's so much you can learn from others. Um, and others outside of your bubble and the bubble you've created at home. There's so many things that you learn, not just about other people, but about yourself. You learn about things that you didn't know you loved or passions you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
So that's my piece of advice.
You're telling everyone to get out of their comfort zones, really, aren't you?
Yes. Be uncomfortable. If they don't honestly, the best was when I didn't speak the language and you find the most creative ways to communicate with somebody
What did you
through
do?
we did so many hand motions, we wrote on our phones, like, it and you find yourself laughing with these people, and sometimes you have no idea what they're saying, but you're laughing and you just built a relationship, and we hung out with people who did not speak English, and we had a great time.
Fantastic. So do
So,
it. Go ahead, go
yeah,
forward.
just do it.
Oh, Natalie, I wish you all the very best for your graduation and for your future. And thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you. I really appreciated it.